Hello, from the heart of Midland, this is the August 2015 edition of MPS Today. My name is Scott Cochran, Auxiliary Education and Curriculum Specialist for MPS and host of the show. We hope you've enjoyed your summer and we're excited to get the 2015-16 school year off to a great start. For today's show, we'll have an opportunity to meet the robotics teams from both high schools who both have had wonderful years last year, and we'll meet our counselors on the Counselor's Corner. And finally, in our Community Partners episode, we'll have a chance to talk with Judge Doreen Allen and learn about the wonderful partnership she has with our schools. Remember that you can watch the show on our YouTube site. Just go to our website, www.midlandps.org, and click on the YouTube button in the upper right-hand corner. You can also check us out on TV on Charter Cable Channel 190 and on UVerse Channel 99. So to start off today's show, we'll meet the folks from the robotics teams at both high schools. So from Dow High School, we have teacher Sean Murray, and from Midland High School, Ben Younkin. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Murray, you brought a student with you from Dow High School. Who do we have here?
Stephen Kepner, senior, captain on my team. Stephen, where are you going?
I'm going to be attending Michigan Tech next year.
Congratulations. What are you planning on studying there?
Mechanical engineering.
Okay, great. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, the robotics teams, it was great this year that we had two teams in town, and I'm sure you both enjoyed that. And tell us about this season and how did it go for everybody? Mr. Murray?
We had a great season. It's, I think, year 8 for us now, our 8th robot. Had huge growth. We went from about, 30 students to
25-ish.
25-ish to about 50-ish?
Yeah.
About 50-ish. It's been a huge growth. It's been a lot of stress for our president.
Yep.
He's still smiling, that's good, because he's had to keep all those kids busy. And I think it worked well. We had a great robot, had a great season. We had another competition at Dow High this year. We were able to hold an off-season event at Dow High. I think everybody had a great time.
That's great. Everyone's really enjoyed those.
Yeah, I hope so.
Now, Stephen, how long have you been on the charge team?
I've been on the team for 4 years now. Yeah.
And what was you were president of the club, and you're kind of captaining things up this year, so what was your role on the team?
My role on the team was president. Basically led the meetings, organized leadership meetings, made sure the leadership team could function as a leadership team so that we could effectively build a robot.
All right. Sounds like a great combination of engineering and leadership experience for you. Yeah, good. Now, Mr. Younkin, this was the first year for a team at Midland High.
Yeah, we were a brand new rookie team. Formed kind of a grassroots operation, got everybody together, and we had an amazing season also. As the rookies, we were able to go to the state competition.
That's great.
We were able to go past that to the World's competition. It was amazing, more than we could have asked for. So.
Now, where were the Worlds this year?
St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay.
Yep.
And what was that experience like for your team?
Wow. Well, it was stressful.
Yeah.
We had about 2 weeks to, after states, when we found out we were actually going to Worlds, we had about 2 weeks to plan everything, including how we're going to get down there, where we're going to stay, where we're going to eat.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot.
And that's just not on rookies. I mean, as a veteran, it is a stressful moment. You find out in Michigan whether you make it to the World Championships, and you've got 2 days to decide whether you have the money to go and the funds to go, and then you've got 2 days to find your hotel and a bus.
Right.
It's a tough time.
It's a lot of logistics to take care of quickly.
Yes, it is.
Now, Stephen, tell us about the Worlds. How many teams about, and what was that competition like?
Well, there were 600 teams from all around the world. They divided you up into 8 subdivisions, so you're playing with about 75 teams from all around the world. We actually had 2 teams from Mexico on our field. Other than that, most of them were from the United States and Canada.
Okay.
So you also get a lot of Israel.
Yeah.
You get a lot of European countries, a couple Asian countries. A lot more South American countries this year than in previous years.
Oh, yeah.
But it really is a world championships. I mean, it's a lot of cultures, a lot of students from around the world.
So
and
you
not
have
just high school.
I'm sorry, sure.
Yeah.
So you have to progress from a local competition or district level to states, and then from states to worlds. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a great season for both teams then.
Oh,
What were the final results at the world competition?
I think we both ended up roughly.
We were 21st in our division.
Yeah, and it's tough to say because they don't rank everybody. So
sure.
Because we're in different divisions, you don't rank each other. But we're in the 20s, which puts you.
I think we finished like 25th on our field. So.
Even in state rankings, we were 1 or 2. We were right
there
with
with
each other.
that was fun.
That was nice.
But I think if you put us in the world and kind of leveled everything out, we're top 8%.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Top 10% easily. And that's huge for Midland Public Schools to have two teams in the
there.
top 10% of the world.
That's awesome.
kind of cool. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the robots a little bit and about what the competition was this year. So who'd like to take that one? Mr. Younkin?
Well, sure. The game this year was called Recycle Rush, and essentially in teams of 3, so 3 on 3, we had to stack totes, put recycle bins on totes, and there was I mean, a lot of aspects of the game, including throwing noodles to the other side to get points that way, or to kind of sabotage other teams a little bit. Could we get a recycle bin on top of these totes? How high could you stack the totes?
Yeah.
And that was essentially the game.
So this is the Midland High robot right here, I see.
Yep.
What's this one called?
We didn't actually have a name for it. We just kind of called it the robot.
Robot. That's good.
It's a robot.
That distinguishes it from the students and the teachers.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, okay. Great. And then, Stephen, tell us about your robot a little bit.
Well, this year's robot got nicknamed halfway through the season the Reaper because of our bin retrieval system. So the way it worked is you had 4 bins in the middle of the field that were up for grabs for anybody.
Okay.
And we decided that we were going to throw one of those on there to grab those at the beginning of the match.
So your robot grabbed the totes from the top. Is that it? Kind of came through them from the top. Okay.
Oh, and also, I mean, you can see both robots. They have a kind of a similar idea in terms of lifting in the front. They have that, that nice triangular design for stability. You saw a lot of robots that could do that. They would reach in, grab a tote, and it's the standard gray totes you're used to stacking stuff
Mail
with.
totes,
That's what it is, just mail totes, And you're trying to stack them as high as you can and put things on top of it to double the points.
And we were both robots that played in the landfill zone of the game, so we played in the center of the field, so we kind of had similar niches.
Yeah.
So now, Stephen, talk a little bit about what you actually had to do. It obviously looks very intricate. So there's a construction aspect and there's a programming aspect. So what are the different things that went into making the robot do what it does?
At the beginning of the season, you get a game challenge, a video, and from that you have to build everything. There's no instructions for how to do it or anything like that. So I mean, you go through and you decide what you want your robot to do. How do you get points? What is the most effective way from that to get points? And then you build your systems based off of that, and there's a lot of designing and a lot of prototyping that goes into a robot before you actually assemble it into what it is.
Now, these don't look like the parts that you're going to go down to the hardware store or to a big box store and buy. So how do you end up with the parts here?
Well, first, supplies, most of the major electronic components, just to keep it all standardized. But other than that, we buy all of our own aluminum tube stock, and we cut and mill all of the aluminum on site that goes into our robot.
That's impressive.
There's a box of materials that you get, a kit of parts that has, I mean, a lot of the components in there, some of the sim motors and, a lot of the electronics and stuff are in that. But as far as extra wiring, all the stock aluminum, the, plexiglass and all that stuff, we have to stockpile up and, build something, and then when it doesn't work,
rebuild it.
Yeah.
If you looked down into the robots, you would see the same kind of electronics. You'd see the same motors, because those are all pretty much standard.
Sure.
But the metal, you look at the two of them, they're completely different in terms of what metal we went into designing the chassis, what wheels are on them are different, how we design the lift, how they design their lift. All of that's completely student-driven design.
Right.
There's no instructions online anywhere that tell you how to build one of these things. So Stephen's right. They give you the game. They say, here's what you got to do, and
you're on your own.
6 weeks to do it. You'd want like 5 more weeks if you could, but they only give you 6.
Now, how much programming is involved in the game as well?
A lot. There's
Lots of programming.
Well, this year the autonomous period changes every year, right?
Yep.
This year, we had a short autonomous period, and then the rest of it was tele-op.
So autonomous period means the robot's operating on its own.
All on its own.
You set it to go on the program, and then it does its thing.
Yeah, you press on and see what happens.
You select what program you want to run, and you have to leave it out on the field and hope something doesn't go horribly wrong.
So now, what part did you enjoy more? That part, or the part where you get to do some of the communication with the robot?
The part where we drive.
He's the driver. He's going to say he likes to drive. His hands are on the stick, and that's what he wants,
But that must be amazing to watch it go through its paces as you've programmed it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's sometimes mysterious and surprising when it doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
Yep.
That'll happen too.
Yeah.
And I think both of us tried to be flexible with the other teams, right? We both had multiple
Oh,
autonomous modes. We could flip switches, and we had 8 different autonomous modes. Depending on what the Alliance members were able to do, we could adjust to play with them.
It's actually a neat thing about Midland Public Schools in terms of our programming departments and the math departments at the high schools. We both have very strong programming kids, and they love that challenge. I mean, because they are writing hundreds upon thousands of lines of code to get these things to work. From not just the autonomous period, but to
Just
code the joystick. You've got to tell the joystick what it's doing to the robot, and it's not just simple of push forward and that's what it's going to do.
Right.
There's a lot of programming that goes into it, and then all of the superstructure, the vertical piece, that all has to be programmed in. Any motor, any sensor, anything on there has to be programmed. Pneumatics have to be programmed, and it all has to work together. But like I said, it's a testament, I think, to the Midland Public Schools programming departments. Both of ours. I mean, because you guys, their robot didn't look like a rookie robot when it was driving around. We've seen rookie robots that have been programmed by rookies, and it did not look pretty. And theirs looked pretty. And autonomous, it generally, I mean, I think it always did what it was supposed to do.
It did. I mean, it was a lot of work, though. I mean, it didn't look pretty at first. Time the competition came, it looked okay.
Your first match never goes how you want it.
Never. Yeah. You got to work your way through that.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome. What are the plans for next year? Is it going to be kind of it'll be a different game, because each year you're going to do challenge. But does it be the same basic idea?
Well, we have no idea. I mean, it'll probably have a similar chassis, probably similar size and weight rules, but we really don't know.
We never know. The last few years have been pretty much this rough size, this rough weight, so we can kind of expect that to maybe be universal. Most years they allow robots to interact with each other. This year they really didn't.
Okay, so they change it up.
Yeah.
So if students are interested, they should come talk to Mr. Murray at Dow High or Mr. Younkin at Midland High School, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And they can get a reference from Stephen here.
Oh, yeah.
Tell you all about it.
Yeah, actually, if you're in the high school and you see, in either high school, you see a kid wearing a robotic shirt, ask them about it. And both teams are always looking for new members. We always tell people, you have to have any experience. You don't have to know how to build one of these things. Stephen did it when he joined, and now Stephen could build it from the ground up. We teach you everything you need to know how to do, and we love taking kids that have no clue how to build a robot and teaching them the skills.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's just a great program, and we're real proud of both teams, and most of all of our students, and we wish you lots of luck at Michigan Tech next year.
Thank you.
All right, well, Mr. Murray, Stephen, and Mr. Younkin, thank you very much for coming in today to talk with us about the great robotics teams.
Oh,
thank you. Thanks for having us.
You bet. All right, up next, we'll have our latest Counselor's Corner, so stick around for more MPS Today right after this.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
I did. Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls. But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that strollers have the right of way on a sidewalk?
Yes.
Yep, I did. Did you guys
Did you know that kids who eat breakfast have higher GPAs?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's actually what I was going to say.
Did you know babies should never touch silver? It's really bad for them.
I knew that.
Did you guys know that statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah.
That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
I'm putting that on my blog.
I just put it in mine.
Get your ass out. You're not in here.
Yes, I am.
Move. Give it to him hard.
No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stabbing me with it? No.
They want to help, but don't know how.
Oh,
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Hi, welcome back to a new school year and back to Counselor's Corner. My name is Jill English. I'm a counselor at Dow High School, and I'm here today with Lori Hallberg, who is also a counselor at Dow High. And Craig Hawkins was not able to come today. He's a counselor at Midland High, so the information that we will be giving today represents both high schools. One thing that all students are very curious and ready and anxious for is to find out what their schedule is going to be when they start school in the fall. Schedules will be available on Home Access Center near the end of August, so be watching out for that. And then you will want to be sure to come into the school near the end of August to walk around the building, find out where your classes are going to be, and just get a feel for how your new school year is going to start. Now, transitioning to a new school year is always a very important thing. Some people will be new to Dow High altogether the first time that they're there, and then we will have returning students. And every year brings something new. It's always good to start off on a positive note, and some ways to do that. Number one is to make sure that you are communicating with your teachers. If you feel that you're struggling in something or you have questions, please talk to your teachers about it, because they will have great suggestions for you and help you with any questions that you may have. It's also really important for you to get into the habit of checking Home Access Center, taking a look at your grades, making sure that you're monitoring your progress, not getting behind in assignments, and you really want to start the year off on a good note. Also, checking your school email is a really important habit to get into, because your teachers will be emailing you things and they'll be expecting you to be checking that. If you feel that you are struggling in some of your classes and you've talked with your teachers, there are also some other options available, and one of those would be tutoring. If you feel that you could benefit from a tutor, please come see us in the Counseling Center, and we'll be able to set you up with some free tutoring. And this would be with students who are volunteering their time through either National Honor Society or Key Club. But those services are available, and we want to be able to help you out, so please come and see us. And the last thing that I'd like to talk about in terms of making sure that you can graduate on time is credit recovery. Those are some options for that would be to take classes online, so 1 hour or possibly 2 hours of your school day. You might be taking an online class to make up credit if you possibly didn't pass a class the year before.
So we're just starting this school year, but seniors are already thinking about next year. So that means they're looking at college applications and what am I going to do next year? Most colleges just want the students to go onto their websites and fill out applications that way. For students who are going to apply to University of Michigan, they will use Common App, and that application can go to multiple schools all over the country. They check a box to which college they're going to send it to. The Common App has some essay questions, and they're actually available now, but students cannot set up an account till August 1st. And then individual colleges on that may have some specific essay questions as well. So students will go to whichever college they want to apply to, go to their website, apply to that college, and then they will go to parchment.com. Parchment.com is how we send transcripts electronically. And all seniors last year, when they were still juniors at the end of the year, set up their Parchment accounts. So they all should have an account and know how to do it. If they forgot or have questions, they're always welcome to stop down into the Counseling Center and ask us a question on how to send their transcript. So that kind of brings up, how do I see my counselor? For those new 9th graders or maybe new students to Dow High or Midland High, you might not know exactly how to see us. Students are welcome to sign up to see your counselor anytime. At Dow High, next to the main office is the Counseling Center, and they will go in there and talk to our office professional and sign up on our schedule, go to class, and then we will send a pass for them. At Midland High, the counseling office is in the basement, and they will go into the office, fill out a slip, putting their counselor's name and a reason for why they want to see that counselor, and they'll put that into a box, and then from that they will receive a pass. So both schools, they sign up, and then we send a pass to them when we're available and when the student is available so that we can see them. But students are welcome to make an appointment whenever they need to. That's it for this month's edition of Counselor's Corner. Join us again next month.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Love is kind. Love is patient.
Welcome back to MPS Today. We're here with Probate Circuit Judge Doreen Allen. She's going to talk with us about a wonderful program that she works in partnership with us on. So Judge Allen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Love being here.
Great. Now tell us a little bit about your background and how you became to be a judge and the court that you're involved in.
The court that I'm involved in is the probate juvenile court court, and I've been a judge for 15 years.
Okay.
And I was in private practice before that. I went to the University of Michigan undergrad and Michigan.
Blue.
That's right, go blue.
That.
And then Michigan State Law School.
So you've got it all covered.
It doesn't get much better than
okay.
that, does it? No. So I was in private practice and came into the family law arena,
Sure.
and it just kind of went from there. So, yeah, it's been 15 years, which is pretty amazing.
Time flies.
It does.
Especially
it
when
does.
you're doing something that's important and that matters to you, right?
It does. It
so
does.
What kind of matters come before your court?
Anything connected with kids.
Okay.
So they call it the cradle to grave court. So children who are just born, and I just had an adoption today, so that was very fun, brand new baby, and so that's very fun. And then all along the spectrum, I do the probate work too for wills and estates, guardianships and conservatorships, and so grave, the wills and estates. So everything in between, but what we're talking about today is really delinquency, kids who commit crimes, and also neglect. So children who have been abused and neglected.
Sure.
That's what I do, and is preside over those cases. So Midland County is my jurisdiction, and I love what I do.
Yeah, well,
it's
I'm
great
sure
stuff.
That's good. It's very important stuff, isn't it? And there must be tough days at your job, as we see in schools too, when we're trying to help students or young people that are struggling. But I'm sure there's wonderful days as well.
Today's one of them. So I had the adoption today, but you are right. Abuse and neglect is not easy to sit in on those cases, but I believe that this court in particular, not me in particular, but this court statewide is a safety net for children and for families, and we are a part of a solution as opposed to, just kind of warehousing or just not doing anything about it. It's a solution court.
Right, and that's a wonderful perspective, right? Because it's not about a punishment, but it's about correcting whatever needs to be corrected and helping set young people up for success.
Right, right. The whole goal of the juvenile court is rehabilitation, getting kids back to the point, and I say this to a lot of the kids who commit crime. My goal is to make sure that I don't see you with an orange jumpsuit on.
No doubt.
So we are making the adjustments while the adjustments are relatively cheap. It's a point in their life when things can be corrected and they don't walk out with a horrible criminal record.
Right, and that can be great for the young person. It's good for the community as well. Like you said, it's a lot less expensive and a lot more helpful in the long run.
Yes.
Well, and we value the court's participation as a community partner for the schools too, because it's so important that we're all working together towards the same goal. So let's talk a little bit about truancy and the different programs that you're involved in and how they're helping our young people. So tell us about school attendance and your perspective on it.
Well, as I said, I've been on the bench 15 years, but many programs in those 15 years have been implemented because as a community we saw the need and it was something appropriate from a court perspective. But the first program, literally the first program that I implemented was a truancy initiative with these schools. And the reason that I did that is that I view education as the #1 tool to be able to get a child out of childhood into adulthood with all of the tools. That's what I talk about with kids. So that you have a set of tools that you need to come into adulthood with, and so going to school is a very, very, very important part of that.
It's empowering, isn't it?
It's very empowering.
Background impacts us all, but as a young person, you can really take charge of your life through your own education and preparing yourself for life after high school.
You can.
So, can you clarify the truancy law for us? As community members, parents, school folks, what do we need to know about truancy?
Well, truancy means that the child is not going to school on a regular basis. So I have jurisdiction through my court because it's children.
Right.
And so the law applies to youth up until the age of 18. And we have found that if kids are not going to school, that they get involved in criminal activity.
Sure.
So it's a cause effect. So you have a double reason, if you will. You not only have the selfish motivation for the child to have all those tools once they're an adult, but you also have just the response in the community that we don't have as many crimes. And in fact, our delinquency rate has gone down by 85%.
Wow.
And I view the court's collaboration with the school system as pivotal to what we have been able to achieve as a community. And that's a very unusual decline. So
it's
we
a wonderful thing.
Oh, it's fabulous. It's fabulous. It's quite extraordinary.
So what are the people miss school for lots of different reasons.
They do.
Right, doctor's appointment, maybe a family has a vacation that they can't schedule during school breaks for some reason, it falls into the school day. We try to help people limit that as much as possible, as I'm sure you do too, but it does happen. And then there are times when students are supposed to be in school and they're not. So how do you make the distinction, and when does it become an issue that is brought to your attention?
Well, there's something called chronic absenteeism, and I think that is a nice spot to start. This protocol was started in 2001, but the concept of chronic absenteeism is relatively new nationwide, so we were way ahead of the game from a national perspective. And the evidence, the studies are very clear that if a child is missing 10% or more of their classes, their education, then there's an effect on progression in education.
No doubt,
So, and chronic absenteeism means that you have one absence here, one absence there, and previously people were looking at whether we had consecutive days, but the beauty of the protocol for Midland Public Schools, because it's my protocol, so I do enforce it, is that we're looking at children. Our first cue is 5 days of missed absences, which sounds relatively small. But when we went back and we looked at the studies and looked at what was really triggering the behaviors of the children, they're all of a sudden involved in delinquency. 5 absences was kind of the trigger. So then that triggers a protocol of contact with the school, and then the definition is 10 days. So at 10 days, I want to see those kids. They get petitioned in.
Sure.
But there's also what I consider to be a very user-friendly, family-oriented protocol that works with the families right in the schools. So the idea was that the attendance officers in each of the individual schools, they know the kids the best.
Right.
They really do.
So they know when to bring it to your
They
attention.
do. They do. So one of the first things that we did was deputize the attendance officers in each of the schools. So we went from actually a half of a position to every building has an attendance officer that is sworn in by me, who is an officer of the court, and they are authorized to bring a petition before the court. But the cool thing, that's a technical term, the cool thing is that there are interventions before court, and actually we have found that it's only about 20 or 25% of the cases that actually end up going to court, because the school has a meeting with the parents or the guardian and the student to find out what's going on. And the example that I usually give is the attendance officer will know if a child has cancer and is undergoing chemotherapy. The tragic, kind of a circumstance where, of course, we're not expecting that child.
That's not a court issue.
That is not a court issue. That is a horrific family situation and a personal situation for the child. But what we see with the children who gravitate to delinquency is that it's 5 to 10 days. We're seeing that they're not in school. So there's a meeting at the school building. Excuse me, the school building with the principal, the attendance officer, the attendance officer who's a court officer, and they draft and come up with together in a collaborative way with the family the contract for the attendance of that child. And that triggers two things. First of all, the school knows that they've communicated it, and the parents understand that this is a serious matter.
Right. There's a responsibility.
There is a responsibility. Yeah, and anybody in Midland County knows that school is very important to me, to Judge Allen. And I will enforce it.
That's great.
So,
well, and like you were saying, it's school and education is empowering and a great equalizer, so it's important in that way. Then it's also a question of if you're not in school, then what is happening, and there can be some real negatives. So to you, what the research has shown and the evidence from the program has shown that once we get to 5 days of missing school, that's sort of a warning sign that something's not going the right way. And by 10, we're into a truancy issue. So in that range is when the attendance officers will start to work with families.
Correct, correct. And then after 10, there's 10 absences.
Sure.
Unexcused absences, by the way. Yeah.
We're not talking about missing for a sporting event
we are
or
not.
for a team sport or for school or something like that.
We are not. We're talking about unexcused absences. So at that point, a meeting is set up with our intake officer.
Okay.
And
so we're going to the next level now.
We're going to the next level because we haven't had compliance.
Sure.
So we're beyond the 10 days. So our intake officer at the court interviews and pulls the family in and explains the truancy laws and explains that if there's non-compliance that a petition can and will be filed at that point.
Okay. And then that takes it to the next level, and there can be more consequences at that point.
Correct.
But you said you saw an 85% reduction in what exactly?
Crime.
In crime, as a result
juvenile
of,
crime.
Right.
And there's no way to prove the direct correlation between attendance and that reduction, but the collaboration between the court and the schools is just it's just fabulous. It really is. And they, teachers are the front line, and they know what's going on. They do. They know what's going on with those kids. So I can't second guess that.
Well, just like for you, I think in education, it's a wonderful profession, and there are a lot of very rewarding days for our teachers and our principals and everybody involved in the schools. And there's some really tough days too, as you learn about young people that you're working with. It can be really hard, just like in your spot too.
That's exactly right. So one of the programs that we have that I love is the community school model that was implemented in East Lawn.
Absolutely.
And that is an example of an intervention that was done that has reduced truancy at East Lawn, and it is the department, it's now called DHHS, worker is a success coach working with the teachers and with the families, and we've had just an extraordinary turnaround with that. And because in elementary school, it's not really the child, is it? It's the parents.
Right.
So we focus on the parents. Middle school, we start focusing more on the student, and then high school, we're looking at the student at that point.
Sure.
It's kind of a sliding scale of responsibility, if you will. But elementary school is particularly important, I think, because you're right. I view education as the great equalizer.
Yeah. And you can make a big difference. If we can get students, young people, started on the right habits early in their school career, then that can carry forward as they become older.
Correct.
And are being more independent and making more of those decisions.
They have to have those skill sets, and if they are chronically absent, then they get behind, and then that's frustrating for children. Of course it is, and elementary in particular. One of the statements that I've heard is that kindergarten, I'll just pull my kindergartner from class. Nope, can't do that, because it makes a difference. The incremental learning path is pivotal. So
it's incredible, and sometimes it's hard to see day to day because when you're so close, when I have a kindergartner at home.
Well,
and you see the individual growth day by day. And interesting. You know, but if I think back to September to the end of the school year, it's remarkable. It really is incredible.
It's just a fun time.
And that's not something we want kids to miss out on.
No, we don't.
No, not
we
at all.
don't. And we find that there are impediments like poverty, literacy.
Without a doubt.
And so the intervention is not meant to be heavy-handed. It's meant just the opposite, where it's family-oriented. But kindergartners need to be at school.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
They need to be at school through senior year.
And we know, too, that consistency is so important to young people, kindergarten all the way through the 12th grade. And so having a consistent habit of attending school, it becomes a common expectation. It makes it so much easier to continue doing it.
It does.
Just like any good habit, right?
It does.
Well, we know the community school model has been very helpful, and we're very appreciative of the efforts there. So
it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's
Anything
been
else
fun.
that you want to share with us about the core of the programs?
Well, we have one of the main messages I would like to talk about is that we have somebody at the court who is an employee of Community Mental Health. Her name is Jackie Warner, and she's wonderful. She is really wonderful in working with the kids and working with the families. We have 2 testing instruments that really assist in understanding why a child is missing school, and one of them is called a Maisie, and the other one is called a Yazi, and it's you know, alphabet soup. But one of them does a screening on mental health issues, and the other one does a screening on what I call risk, and well, that's the reason the test is there, is that it's a risk evaluation of whether a child would be low, medium, or high risk as far as sliding from truancy, which is a status offense, by the way. It's not a criminal action in and of itself, but going from truancy into, you know, the crimes that we see.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I know Ms. Warner does a great job, and we appreciate that.
She's wonderful.
She is
Isn't she great?
She's wonderful.
Yes. I love, you know, she makes a really big difference for all of our children.
She does. So if there's a parent or a community member or even a young person that thinks that some assistance is needed for themselves or for someone else, what are the best steps that they can take?
Well, Jackie Warner is in the schools all the time, so the schools know how to get hold of her. But I will do my own bias, and I will tell you that she's not an employee of the court, but she is located at the court. And I do want to stress that she's not a court employee, because sometimes people think that there's a stigma involved with that whole thing. But they can call to the probate court. And it's 832-6880, area code 989, and they always know where Jackie's at. And she is just really good at being able to figure out the nuts and bolts of why we have kids behaving the way that they are.
So they can do that, so they can call the court, and the other way, of course, is they could approach someone at school as well, right? Talk to the teacher or someone in the office at school. So.
The schools are all very familiar with Jackie Warner.
Without a doubt.
And they are also very familiar with what the protocol is. It is an actual truancy protocol that I issue, and once a year I meet with all of the attendance officers, and they get sworn in. And so there's a whole series of things that happen, and I take it very seriously.
Well, good. So do we. We appreciate it. Well, Judge Allen, thank you very much for joining us today and for all of your efforts to help young people in Midland County.
Definitely my privilege.
All right. Bet. Well, that's our show for today. Remember that you can catch all of our programming on our YouTube site. So go to our website, www.midlandps.org, and click the YouTube button in the upper right-hand corner. We hope you enjoyed this show, and we'll catch you next time on MPS Today.